Hello and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, CEO of Leadership, the serial entrepreneur. As most people know, I spent over 13 years in professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series, wrote the book, Leading Winning Teams. And today I am with FCA rep Josh Freitas, the Frito. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing really good. Thanks so much for having me on the show, Trent. We're so excited. We are just wrapping up our Team FCA and Junior Team FCA camp here in Lynchburg, Virginia at Liberty University. It's our second year back-to-back coming here, and it's actually, I believe, year 15 of camp for us this year. So.
Yeah, just an amazing time here in Lynchburg, Virginia. I mean, this camp is dialed in, and this is all about youth kids developing not only their hockey skills, but their walk in their faith. Amazing staff of both, former college players, junior coaches, NHL players. There's all sorts of people here to speak into these kids' lives, and it's an absolute honor for me to get a chance to come in, spend some time, speak a little bit with the kids, and interact with a lot of the great staff.
Yeah, for sure. And we're really, really blessed to have a staff here at FCA Hockey, not just as a staff who work full-time for FCA Hockey, but also a staff of volunteers who are willing to give up their weekends to plug in and really, as we talked about this weekend, our theme of glory at FCA and giving the Lord all the glory and bringing that back to Him to serve and to plug into these kids and help them make decisions for the Lord. So we have guys from the OHL, from the NHL, Division I, Division III college hockey, ACHA, Division I and II, and 3 men's. And it's been an honor to be here this weekend. Learn from awesome people like Trent throughout the weekend. And what a blessing.
Yeah. And what a fabulous time for a kid. I mean, for a kid, we talk a lot about on Winners Find the Way show, hyper learning and learning like so quickly. And it's a huge environment for athletes to be able to learn fast. Here, these young kids between about 14 years old here to about 20 as camp students in the game, playing these games in and out. So there's quite a range of players, each walking different areas in their life, challenges at home. Everything's going great at home, from anything easy and a great hockey team, and you're selected to the best team in your town, to, hey, I'm just trying to make a team, right? And so there's a lot of different variances for the kids, which is a lot of fun. And they drink through the fire hose for 4 days. I mean, it's a whirlwind of all these top talented coaches that played, and all this wisdom that just literally just feeds into these kids, and just heart-centered work. It's a fun time to be involved with it. And as a kid, like, hey, I know the kids are exhausted. I'm exhausted by the end, right?
Oh yeah. We call something here called like the covering. It's called the Holy Spirit covering. How do you get through a weekend like this? And the Lord just leads us through it. But like Trent said, they're kind of drinking through a fire hose, as are we. We have a very tight back-to-back schedule, and we try and pour everything that we can into the weekend. So these guys are learning, leadership tactics, mental training from Trent. I'm trying to educate them on some tools that they can take with them from a strength and conditioning standpoint, some nutritional pieces. We're trying to teach them all that we can from a biblical perspective as well. Hear great testimonies at night, learn how to worship. What does that even mean? It's more than singing songs. How do I even pray? What do I do? Like, how do I build a relationship? And on top of all those things, we're teaching them how to get better on the ice as well.
Yeah, so we're here at the LaHaye Ice Center now, here at Liberty University. This is probably one of the most renowned universities I've ever been on for facilities. It's utterly amazing. We're sitting in the hockey rink here in a suite today, overlooking this gorgeous ice. And thank you, Mr. LaHaye, famous author of Left Behind. He and his wife made a massive donation to the church. They've always been involved, board members. So just an excellent, giving back into the community. And as you walk around this campus, what a highlight for the kids to see how many families give back and want to, really just pour into these kids who come here to go to uni, to come and play the summer camps program. I saw FCA Local is now bringing over 1,000 kids into camp onto Liberty University this summer. So we're just the start of it with well over 100 hockey players.
That's right. Yeah. So this is really the start of Liberty University's summer camps, as we just had 105 young men participate in this camp. But for the weeks leading up to it, for hockey camps, actually for Liberty, they're going to have back-to-back camps for the next several weeks, 3 weeks, I think it is. And they'll have players that are aging from 6, 7, 8 years old all the way up to the U18 level. And that's going to be a big chance for them to get to know Liberty, but for Liberty to pour into them their Christian values. And then following that, FCA, the Mid-Atlantic region that we're a part of in FCA hockey, is actually going to have the competitors camp here, which we're going to be housing over 1,000 athletes at Liberty University from June 29th to July 3rd. There's going to be men's and women's lacrosse, football, men's and women's soccer, outdoors training. There's going to be hiking. There's going to be all sorts of different things, all centered around sports, bringing sports into the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's amazing time for this university. What they've done is this is not just a mission field for the students, which is fabulous. And I think Liberty now has well over 120,000 students engaged in education through the university, both online and on campus. So that's amazing. But Josh, real quick, I should fix this. One of the things I want to engage in with you is, your journey to FCA and what that meant, how you got involved. Were you a player with FCA? You were a great hockey player. You're a Connecticut kid, right? Good. And so, big Northeast hockey, that's a big part of life. Walk us through your journey.
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking. And my journey is unique. I grew up in a Christian family, and loved hockey. When I started at 9 years old, I fell in love through the Mighty Ducks. So thank you,
Walt Disney.
Thank you, Walt Disney, for doing that for me. But I fell in love with the game at a young age, and I was an athlete, and I got good at hockey pretty quickly. But when I was deciding what was next for me in my life to take my hockey game to the next level, I ended up going to a New England boarding school called the Millbrook School, and moved away from home. And my dad was researching how could my son take his faith and hockey and put them together. And Rick Randazzo, the director at FCA Hockey, had just recently started FCA Hockey, and he started it in 2008. And then in 2009, I was leaving home, and Rick Randazzo sent me an FCA Hockey Bible in 2009. And I was blessed to be the FCA Hockey Athlete of the Month, the second ever, he says, which is always a funny to go back to. And that's the first time that I tied my faith and hockey and put them together. And I kept that Bible bedside. I still have it to this day. And it was something that led me through my high school years. And then finally, Rick would help me get to Bethel University, where I would play Division III college hockey in Minnesota. And I would start to build my life there, and eventually after college, meet my wife and build our family. But I actually got retied into the ministry. My dad was working for a construction company. He was in a business development role. And Rick had just started this hockey school up in Alexandria, Minnesota.
Yes.
And he had reached out to my dad's company about building dorms up there. And my dad goes, "You're never going to believe who reached out to our company, Rick Randazzo. Let's go take a drive up and meet him." And I was like, "All right, great. Let's go up there and see him." And when I went up there, I just fell in love. And I always thought that I'd go back to a boarding school role or a teacher of some sorts. But I always said I wanted to be in a full-time ministry. I wanted to do something. And I believe that the Lord has had his hand and still has his hand on my life and to lead me into that. And that's how 15 years later, 15 years later, I'd be on staff with FCA now for 5 years, and loving every minute of it. So
nice. I mean, a journey now through, youth hockey, then private school hockey, which is a big deal in the Northeast, right? And then onto a university, Division III hockey, very competitive here in the country. I think there's like 46 teams in Division III hockey. And so it's a massively competitive place. And then, I would say, one of the key kind of parts of your story is you've also walked this high-level elite athlete as a diabetic. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah. So I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 12 years old. I'm now about to turn 32. On Tuesday. So, it's been 20 years. It's been a 20-year journey for me, but I like to call it the thorn in the flesh for me. As much as I would love to say I have it all figured out, I definitely don't. But I've been able to learn that through diet and my nutrition and exercise, I can really control my type 1 diabetes. And so for those of you who know anything about diabetes type 1 or type 2, the A1C is kind of like the gold standard, your hemoglobin A1C count. And I've been able to keep that right around the 5.5, 5.6 range. And for diabetics, most diabetics range at the 9.0 range. Yeah. And for a non-diabetic, you're 5.5 or below. So I've been able to do that just through my nutrition and just through exercise.
You don't take medicine?
I do take medicine.
Yes.
I do take exogenous insulin in order to maintain my blood sugars. But I've been, for those of you who do know and who are watching the show that know anything about this, my average is about 20 units per day of exogenous insulin. That's external insulin that I need to take through a diabetic pump. But that's very, 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 very low on the diabetic standpoint. And that's all just through nutrition and what I decide to eat and what I found works for me and my personal body and how God has uniquely made me. And then finally, exercise. I do push myself in the exercise realm, but it is a huge component to why I've been able to manage my diabetes so well.
Yeah. You know, the name like Frito, you're awful fit. You know, like, you know,
there's no Frito Lay's going in this guy.
No knock on Frito Lay.
Yeah,
so, but you know, I think this is a testimony when we talk about athletes. A lot of us coaches always said, and bosses, they're saying the same thing. Where it's like, hey, I'll take 10 more just like this person, right? And Frito's one of those guys as a coach. You've got him on your team, and you know, he may not be the fastest, he may not have the best shot, or you know, in your business, they may not have the best sales presentation, but consistency is a big deal, and discipline about what they and Josh has both these things. He has this strong level of self-discipline, and then of course you're very strong in your consistency. And I believe like part of the diabetes serves you in that way because you can't be inconsistent in that world, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, no, I can't be inconsistent at all, actually, because if I'm inconsistent in my nutrition or my exercise, my blood sugars will elevate.
Yeah.
If my blood sugars go up, then not only danger health-wise, but I have a bad attitude. I get short with my wife. I get angry and short-tempered. I get impatient. I feel lethargic. None of those things help me be the best version of me. And I think you would agree with me in this, that all of us want to be the best version of ourselves as often as possible.
Yeah. As often as possible.
As often as possible, right? Yeah. And in order for me to do that, I have to have consistency. I have to have self-control and discipline. I have to say no to things that would feel good in the time or pleasure in the time of an ice cream bar or a cookie or those different things. But I know that for me, the implications of me having that right now are going to impact me 4, 5, 6 hours later. And that's just not going to be the best version of Josh Freitas that I can be. So I need to say no to those things. I need to pick the apple. I need to pick whatever. And are those things like, oh man, ice cream versus apple? Like, come on, Josh, help me out here. But at the end of the day, who do you want to be? Right? Like, do I want to be the best version of Josh Freitas, or do I want to be just a shell of that? And I don't believe that that's what God has called me to be. So I want to be the best man that I can be for my wife and for my kids.
I love that. And you know, one of the things we talk about, and if you've ever seen my TEDx talk, right, on the pain exchange, Josh is leaning straight into this, right? Pain of discipline, not painless, right? Hebrews 12:11. This is not painless, right?
Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, it's painful, it says. It is not, you know, no discipline is ever painless. It is painful, but it's that righteousness and peace we're going after. It produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. And so when he's talking about that, I just hear that. And I'm thinking that pain of discipline is acute. It's a short-term pain that he makes a choice. And you know, all the kids worked really hard with Josh this weekend and they were sore. And when we talked about that in our talk together, like, hey, listen, this is a short-term pain discipline. Painful in the time doing sled pushes, not easy work. Hockey guys are used to this. A lot of athletes out there and a lot of people staying fit. Sled's a great work. So always encourage it. But soreness. But on Tuesday, they'll all be fine. Like they'll all be fine. The pain will be gone. They will subside. They will have done something better for their health, better for their fitness, better for their hockey performance, better for their body, and they're getting better all around. Now, the pain of regret is a chronic pain, right? And the pain of that regret of like, oh, I'll just have a few ice cream bars, and that all of a sudden that regret comes. For most people, it's more chronic in the fact that, oh, I'm overweight now, I'm obese, I'm having challenges with my health. This regret hits you a little faster than that, and as a food wise,
for sure,
because this is like all of a sudden, like within 48 or within 24 hours, this can turn sideways in a hurry, and then all those symptoms that you just talked about come upon you, and I love the way Josh is saying that, like that pain of regret. It's not just how it adversely affects him, but the downstroke of all those people it's affecting, right? If dad's upset, if dad's mad, dad has no patience for us, our kids are like, dang, dad's in a bad mood. Stay away from dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what father wants to hear that,
yeah,
right?
For sure. And I think that I just want to touch on just what you were saying there is that if I say no to something like a cookie,
yeah,
right, then I'm putting a block in my self-control and my discipline bucket here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then if I say no to that cookie and that ice cream bar, then I can say no to the email that I'm about to send because I'm angry.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, you know what? I was disciplined in this thing that, is a little bit easier to say no to. And then this moment of this like fleshly desire where I'm like, oh man, I'm so angry. I want to say this, but you know what? I've been putting a lot of drops in my discipline bucket, so it's a little bit easier for me to say no to that.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to making a really poor decision where words spoken over my wife or something, I can say no to that. But if I've said yes to the easier things, maybe it's, I took a shortcut this way.
Yeah.
Right. I cut this short. I didn't do this thing when nobody else was looking, but I should have. Right. When I say no, when I give in to the cookie tonight, well, it's a little bit easier to give in to the following night. And when I haven't been as disciplined in those areas, it's really hard for me to be disciplined in the areas that have the self-control in the areas that really, really matter and are really, really impactful. So think about that. Like where in your life, if you're watching this show right now, if I can speak into that, where in your life are you falling short in the discipline bucket? What's like the low-hanging fruit? That if I start to stack those things and put them in my self-discipline bucket, that's going to add up so that I can say no to the things that when it really, really matters.
Yeah, I like that. I like the brick idea, right? I like that every time I do this, I build a brick of a foundation, right? Because I put that in my camp. I'm building my house with that discipline brick. And so this firm foundation of brick that I've laid out as a firm foundation of discipline, like that's not easily, and I can build on that. That's not cracking easily. Nothing's falling through that. I build on that. I may slip on a self-discipline along the way, but I have such a foundation under it now that it's like, oh, hey, I'm right back at it. And meanwhile, as Josh continues, he's adding more bricks and he's building larger. So, as a larger foundation, he's able to carry more. He's able to serve more, have a larger house for more to come into, and he models that behavior for and teach inside that, and he welcomes people into that home of this firm foundation. So it's pretty powerful, and people don't always understand the pain exchange. Like this is and the thing about the pain exchange, then you've heard us probably say this word 6-7 times already, is we choose. It's a choice. And it's our choice. Like we choose. Like, well, you know what? I'll choose the cookie for you. Like, well, I don't get to choose for Josh, right? And Josh is responsible for his results. Trent's responsible for my results, and that's all we get to do. And listen, I would love to. Hey, Josh, can you make all my decisions on my food because you're really good at it, and you're better than I am at it. So like, oh well, you know what? I'm gaining weight because Josh isn't making good choices for me. Like I can't say that because it comes back to me. So in this life, there will be pain. Like it's been written, and anyone in my age in their 50s knows. Like we've had both these pains.
Yeah.
We've exchanged this a lot, and we've had that pain of discipline somewhere along, and all of us athletes have felt this, right? And we've also had that pain of regret. Oh man, I should have stayed up and studied for the test. I should have been more prepared. I should have done the workouts the coach asked me to do so I'd be ready on the ice. Or I got hurt because I didn't prepare my body for what was about to happen so many times. Let me ask you this question about this exchange. That people don't always understand. When you've seen young men, and you model and breathe into a lot of these guys, like, do you see that they get some early regrets and start seeing that pain of their choices, or do you think they gloss over it and their foundations are getting weakened?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And there's an awesome book that was written back, I think, in 1865.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called man, what's it? It's like through the decisions you make as a young man. It's not the title of the book.
Yeah.
The purpose of the book is the decisions that you make as a young man, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, is often going to shape who you become in life. Because those foundational bricks that you were just talking about are laid at an early age.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to crack the foundation. We all know that if a foundation is broken on a house, it's a major expense.
Yeah.
To reform that foundation, you got to do some major work. It's a major cost.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they're just like, just enough, but we'll just rebuild it from the ground up, right? And we think about that in the decisions that we make. So we're trying to get these guys at a young age to see some mistakes that you and I have made.
Yes.
So that we can take those lessons and apply them to you so that you don't have to make those same mistakes that I made, right? Learn from me so you don't have to make them. And if we do have a guy that has made some poor choices, that's okay, because we're catching it now.
Yeah.
But now we have to take action and do something. We had some conversations with some guys this weekend. We have these things called the 10 traits of a godly man. And the first one is accepting responsibility for your actions, right? Now, if you, Trent, start to take some responsibility for your actions as a dad, as a husband, or a future grandfather, whatever it is, I start to take some action.
Well, I'm a current grandfather.
I'm a current grandfather.
Yeah.
I start to take some action, or take responsibility for my actions. Oftentimes, that's going to lead you to do something else. So if I made a poor choice, in words I spoke over my wife, right? I need to take some action. I need to take responsibility and say, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. And I need to say sorry. I realize that in my mind, right?
Yeah.
And ask for forgiveness. But then it's going to lead me to have a hard conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to actually do that. And so that's what we're trying to help them realize, is that you're going to make mistakes in life. You're going to have to take action from realizing those mistakes. And then I'm going to have to go apply them. I'm going to have some hard conversations. I have to make some disciplines in my life to eat better and different things. So I'm going to have to go out and act.
I look at this discipline like working out. And a lot of people come to me and they're 45 years old and they spent 30 years putting on bad weight, making bad food choices, and it's caught up with them, right? And it doesn't come off like in 1 week. Like, I went and I did all the exercises, and listen, I think I'm going to be back to like 160, and like, well, that's not exactly how it's going to work. I often use the market to talk about that. Like, wow, if I could gain $1 in a stock per week, that'd be incredible, because if we do good habits, we will lose 1 pound a week. 52 pounds in a year is amazing, right? Like, it'll reshape your whole life of 52 pounds. For 90% of the people that are battling weight, a 52-pound change would be massive. So when we talk about that discipline, and someone who didn't get that lesson at 17, but now at 40 says, I need to get it, it's like working out for me. It's time to go in. It's time to be consistent. It's time to stay the course. It's time to get at it and take all the action, because it will change relatively quickly. You did have those 30, 40 years of building up some regrets against that, but that discipline can change relatively quickly in just a matter of 3, 6, 8 months. And all of a sudden, a new man, a new woman is formed in that, and a new attitude around that is shaping the way you'll do things in the future. So I don't ever discourage people that, hey, it's never too late, right? It's like faith. It's never too late.
It's never too late. And I would say, don't try to do it all at once.
Yeah.
One step at a time, right? Try and do one thing. If it's from a nutritional standpoint, I just say, hey, if you're trying to lose weight, well, what do you drink, right? Well, I drink milk, I drink water, I drink a couple Cokes a day. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just try water and coffee for 3 weeks?
Yeah, well,
21 days. You can make it 21 for sure. See what happens.
Yeah.
Well, I found some success. Okay, well, what's the next step? Well, I eat a lot of processed sugars every once in a while. Okay, well, why don't we just take that out for just the next 3 weeks? See what happens. And just take one step at a time. If it's from a, hey, I really struggle with, consistency with my sleep. Okay, well, what happens? Well, I tend to scroll on my phone before bed, and I have a hard time going to sleep. Okay, well, why don't you just put your phone in your kitchen, not near your bedroom, and you just go to bed without your phone. See what happens. Yeah, see how it goes. Right? Yeah. One little step, one habit that can form on top of another. Again, building the bricks to lay a firm foundation. Nobody built a skyscraper starting from the ground up. They had to dig down first. Yeah. Right? We got to start somewhere, lay the firm foundation, then we can build up.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's so good. And when we talk about discipline, health and exercise is a natural way to talk about it, because these little steps every week, and there's a celebration of someone who's come to you the first time, and they went and did their 5 days of exercise, didn't drink any sugary drinks, didn't any refined sugar, and put their phone in their kitchen at 9 o'clock every night. I mean, those 3 things, plus I got my 5 days in. I tell you what, no matter how I look, my clothes aren't necessarily fitting different. I feel good about the discipline I did. And these are relatively minor changes, right? These are not like, oh man, you need to live your life an entirely different way, because that's not what's necessary. That's right.
Yeah. And I don't think that that's really possible for most people to do a cold turkey or to change everything in their life immediately. We need small little changes that are going to help.
And there's victories in that.
And there's victories in that, 100%. And ultimately, your mind, you feeling good about the decisions that you're making, are going to help you make more decisions that are going to help you feel good. If you try and do something and you get discouraged, like, oh man, I'm not losing a pound a week, I'm not doing these things, that's not going to propel you forward, really. It's going to be really hard. It's going to actually probably be an hindrance. It's probably going to stop discouragement. So I think making sure that you can get the small wins, right? The weight on the scale, it's not always truthful. But if you're feeling good, we're in a great place here, because then I'm going to tell you to do something that's a little bit, not radical, but I'm going to say, hey, why don't you try going, 10 days without, eating grains, or I'm going to tell you, like, why don't you try cutting out dairy and see if that has anything to do with you? And then you're going to be like, okay, that might be a little bit harder because I love my yogurt, but I'm going to do it because I'm in a good mindset. If you're already in a bad mindset and I try and add on to that, you're going to be like, forget this, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
So that's just one thing that you can try and do.
One of the things in this camp that was so impressive is that really teaching young kids about winning every day, and winning in little things, not winning at hockey. Like, I mean, that's just a measurement. Here on Winners Find a Way, I love the quote, winners when shown data they're losing, find a way to win. And one of those ways to start winning is taking those little victories each week. And we talked about it in the hockey concept of winning the period. We got more shots on goal than they got on goal. And so we start looking at kind of the key performance indicators, like what's important. And I think that's winning each week when you start following your health schedule and you feel better about yourself and you're thinking, and these little victories start adding up. You're like going, wow, and I'm tracking my little victories, and victory begets more victory. This is why winning teams, they keep winning. They understand those processes, those things they have to do each day, the little things that create the value in the winning, and they're disciplined in those little things. And so we start recognizing that it's not like, oh, I need to play a game against the scale. The scale may not be the measurement at all that you were going for, because you and I are body mass, our body fat guys. Like, we're like, hey, what's our percentage of fat inside your body? We're looking at VO2 max. We're looking at all sorts of health indices for athletes that are very different than for the normal person. But there's a bunch of things that Josh and I can kind of like an auto mechanic. We're looking under the hood to find out, like, hey man, how's your body reacting to this? You could become a better athlete by doing a couple of these things. And so they start getting these little victories, and they measure those victories all the time, and they celebrate even on a weekly basis how I'm getting victory. And man, that steamrolls, just like bad things in our life where there's, hey, 3 or 4 in a row and you start getting frustrated and maybe a little depressed. Like, listen, when you start winning 3 or 4 in a row, you start feeling a little confidence, you got a little pep in your step, walking a little taller, the shoulders come back, you're feeling good about who you are. And what do you tell somebody out there who feels like, hey, maybe they need a little more discipline, maybe they need a better faith walk, they're being challenged in their regular habits every day? What do you tell someone to start getting it on the right path?
Yeah, that's a great question. And oftentimes we have a goal in mind, right? We want to get somewhere, maybe at the finish line. I want to achieve this weight. I want to do that. Yeah. And we want to get there, but it's really hard to have a strong finish if you don't have a strong start.
Yeah.
And so what I would do just from a day-to-day standpoint is, how do I start my day? Right? Like, what am I doing to start my day? For me, I'm going to try not to look at my phone right when I get up. The first thing that I'm going to do, and this is recently that I've started doing, I'm going to go outside, and I'm blessed to be in beautiful Lynchburg, Virginia, so I can go outside right now. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to be not on my phone. I'm just going to put my feet in the grass. I'm just going to listen for a second at God's creation. I'm just going to listen to the birds, and then I'm just going to pray. That's how I start my day, and then I get into the Word of God. It's not a long time. I got really young kids. This is early in the morning, about 5:15. There may be 15 minutes that, between praying and getting into Scripture before I got to get going on my day. But just those 15 minutes starts me out on a strong start.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally grounded.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I can have a strong start in my eating habits. What am I going to have for breakfast? I'm going to have 4 whole eggs. I'm going to have a couple blueberries. And I'm going to start my day out strong with some good healthy fats to fuel me throughout the day, some good protein to get my body ready, and some good healthy carbohydrates and some berries that are high in antioxidants. And I'm going to start my day on the right foot. Right? That's how I have a strong start. Now, if I don't do those things, if I look at my phone first thing, I see that Trent Clark's called me. Okay, I'm feeling like in the back of my mind, I got to call him back. And then I'm looking at some emails. Oh man, I got 10 emails last night. Okay, now I'm starting to build some anxiety. I'm starting to build some stress in myself. Okay, you know what? I'm feeling like I got to plug away at my computer right now. Oh man. Okay, and I got to get breakfast ready for the kids. Okay, we got to get them to school. And the next thing you know, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything good. I've been stressed and worried all day long. Right? I haven't gotten into the Word of God. I haven't calmed my mind. I haven't prayed. I haven't done any of these things. And guess what? Those things make me more anxious.
Yeah.
Right? Because I haven't done all of those things that I should have been doing. And then all of a sudden I feel overwhelmed. That's not a good place to start. So now I'm in this position at 10 a.m. when I have done those things that I'm like, how do I get back to equilibrium here? And I feel like I'm scrambling the rest of the day. And it's really hard for me to have a strong finish when I don't have a strong start. So I want to encourage you out there that if you're in a place where you're like, where do I start? What do I do? Start simple. What's accomplishable? Maybe it's a verse that I'm going to read in Scripture. Right? If you open up the Bible app, you can do the verse of the day. They got a video every single day for that. Maybe that's where I got to start.
Right? Yeah. One of the things I started, a couple of things, is great information right there. Like, one of the things I started is, Jesus calling, small paragraph, kind of get in that every day where I just read something small, couple verses, and I'm like, man, that really points. And it's written in the mind of like having a conversation with the Lord, which is kind of a cool little deal. I'm going to build on what Josh said, because I've been so many times at that 10 and 11 a.m. playing from behind already. And I'm like, yeah, 10:30, I'm already playing from behind, right? And like, we know as athletes, playing from behind's not fun. Like, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's pressure, right? We start self-applying pressure on ourselves, like, we got to get 2 goals in the next period, or we're never going to win. And, the things we're telling ourselves in our mind is probably not moving us in the right direction, for sure. So what I would build on what Josh said, and why Josh does these things really well, is I'm gonna venture to say that started the night before. He has a strong routine for his children. His children are put down. They've gone to bed. They're rest. He can have a moment with his wife. He has that time. He preps his mind for what he has to do the next day. He gets sleep and he gets enough rest so that when he wakes in the morning, he's not waking up an hour late. Because if you wake up an hour late, you don't get out to the yard. You don't get out to the garage. Like, oh my gosh, that wake up hour late, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just gotta throw my gear on and get to work, right? And like, oh my gosh, yeah, see you later, honey. Sorry, I'm just leaving you with all the kids, all the day to start. You'll have to do it all alone. I have no help to you, and everybody's hosed on that, right?
That's not a good place.
It's a place. It's terrible.
It's not
Yeah.
good for me.
But it starts like if I choose to like, oh, let me watch another Netflix till 12:30 in the morning, like this is very likely how it can start.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really good point. And I'm not saying that everyone has to do this, but recently my wife and I just said, hey, you know what? Let's just fast media for right now. And originally it was going to be social media, and it was going to be just Facebook for right now, just for 30 to 60 days, whatever we're going to do. And that might seem extreme, whatever, but that's what we're going to do. And then we said, hey, you know what if we put aside Netflix too? Let's just connect for 15, 20 minutes before we go to bed. And we found ourselves reading. And I found myself going to bed pretty early, between 9 and 9:30. And the next thing,
nothing makes me more tired than reading, right?
And 10 pages max.
Oh,
but something that was big for us is that, and for me, is that I actually started to crave that time in the morning, just to get away and to recharge at 5:15 in the morning. That seems early, but if I'm going to bed between 9 and 9:30, I'm still getting close to 8 hours. So I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But he is, Trent, you're very right that it starts the night before. And I try, and it's funny, like if I have a snack before bed, or if I see the dishes aren't done, part of me wants to leave that till morning.
Yeah.
Right. Or the dishwasher is done, but I could empty it now, or I could empty it first thing in the morning. But we all know how busy things get first thing in the morning. I'm like, you know what, Josh? I just say this in my head. Have a strong finish. Have a strong finish to have a strong start. Have a strong finish to have a strong start. Have a strong finish to have a strong start. I empty the dishwasher. Guess what? If it is chaotic in the morning, the dishwasher's already done. But the dishes.
One less thing.
One less thing, right?
Yeah.
If the dishes are kind of piled up to the side of the sink, maybe I just got to put them in there into the dishwasher and start it.
Yeah.
Strong finish.
Yeah.
Strong finish.
So good. It's so good. When he says fast media, that doesn't mean like you're watching it quicker. He means like he's fast at it. Like it's not an issue because they've just taken it out. They've removed it from them. And I think for anyone who's never done a fast, like a fast of food for 24 hours, while it may not be pleasant, painful sometimes, right? It's a great thing to do. Your body recharges. You're not going to die. You will not starve in 24 hours without food. So, like, it's a great deal. You typically do liquids, right? You'll do water, maybe some tea or coffee. You'll allow something like that, and that's it. And there's no food. So, always encourage people to fast from things. Whether that's and we see it very much in the Catholic faith because there's Lent, right? And they go, "Hey, I'm gonna not do something during Lent." So most people know somebody who do fast of something in their life, and they choose that. So I always encourage that, just as it's a little bit of a block of a self-discipline. Yeah. Hey, I just took away Netflix for 40 days, and guess what? Didn't miss it.
Yeah.
Right. And meanwhile, put 3 blocks on my foundation that's going to make me stronger going forward.
Yeah, that's really good. And just for any of you out there that want to take a step into fasting, it's just taking something in your life. It doesn't have to be physical food. It could be anything. It could be social media. It could be time on Twitter. It could be whatever. Hey, for this period of time, I'm going to eliminate this out for a reason to reconnect to something. And for me, when I eliminate social media, it's like the one thing, because I can just get lost in scrolling at times. It can be useful. But if
you're the only one, Josh. No one else has that issue, right?
For me, that's an issue. And when I take it out, I find myself more present, one, with my kids, because my natural tendency isn't, hey, I want to go check out what's on Instagram or what's new. I feel more present, more grounded where my feet are. And I think a big thing for me is it's a lot easier just to go to bed, right? Like, when does my scrolling habit happen? Usually at 9 p.m. at night, and then the next thing you know, I've watched YouTube or I've scrolled for 30 or 40 minutes when I could have been sleeping. And then that delays me from getting up first thing in the morning. So that's something that's prevalent for me. If it's food for you, actually recently, it's been peanut butter. I love peanut butter. Hey, shout out all you peanut butter makers out there. Jiffy and Whippy. You guys are awesome. But for me, it's just been, I know that if I fast peanut butter, I'm just going to, I think, try it out, see how it goes. And it's been fun for me just to try that and see that, yeah, this is a little bit cleaner. I feel a little bit better. So maybe I'll go a little bit longer. Now, is peanut butter good for me? Do I love it? Yeah, sure. It's great. But I've just eliminated it for right now and it's working for me. I know that I absolutely love coffee. I mean, praise Jesus for coffee. Like, I mean, I love coffee, but I know that if I have it past noon, like the afterlife of coffee is like 8 to 10 hours. Well, that's going to prevent me from having a good night's sleep. And if I don't have a great night's sleep, probably not going to go great for my wife either to sit next to me. It starts to bleed into other people. So you know what? I'm just going to start to stop having any caffeine or coffee after noon, right? Because that eliminates the rest of the caffeine out of my body so I can have a good night's sleep, right? It's just these little things that I can do. In fact, maybe that fasting for you isn't necessarily I'm 24-hour fasting, I'm cutting it out of my life, but hey, I'm going to stop it at a certain point in my life.
Yeah.
Or at a certain point in my day.
I like that. And, we've seen that intermittent fasting. I know a lot of friends out there have asked me like, hey, what do you think? And I'm like, you should try it. Right. And so they're like, hey, I'm only eating between noon and 8 p.m. And that's all I eat. Like I'm going to intermittent fast. And so that's a form of discipline.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that. Josh, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah. Thanks
They're
so
looking
much.
for you.
Thanks so much for asking. Well, if you guys go to the FCA Hockey website, my name is on there. My number is on there as well. And my email. So that'd probably be the best place to find me. Just J. And then my last name is Freitas. So FREITAS at fca.org. That's the easiest way. I check my email all the time. I'm also on Instagram, but it's at Josh Freitas 23. But as I talked about in this podcast or on this show, I'm fasting it right now. So I'm checking my messages. So you just email me.
Better email. Yeah,
better to just email.
And you're on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Josh Freitas. You'll find me on there, just FCA Hockey area representative. But really, the best way is just to email me, and my phone number is on the FCA Hockey website as well. You can call me there. So,
one of the things I love about doing these camps is just following our mantra: winners find a way. And when we talk about that, and we talk about solutions minded, the wisdom of this camp of all these coaches come in and just feed into these kids, and every one of these kids walks away with like all these hacks from the top, right? Like from the top, people who've gone like, hey, listen, you could do this more efficiently. And so there's all these little things that have major impact. And they're not like, oh, I need to change. You know what? I need to start playing right-handed because I'm not going to work left-handed. Like, no, we're not asking you to rework your whole game.
Yeah.
Right? We're asking you to make minor changes in your life that have massive impact in your faith walk, that have massive impact in the way you show up on your job, the way you show up in your family, the way you show up on just a teammate, all these things. If you could tell someone that's looking to show up a little differently, what was the one thing that you'd tell them? Like, hey, here's where I'd start.
Yeah. Well, I think that the biggest thing is you got to start with you first. You got to start with your heart. Is my heart in the right place? And how do I address that? Well, it starts with your disciplines in your life that you need to change first and foremost. What's the biggest thing that comes to your mind as soon as I said that? What's the first thing that came to mind? Start with that, and address that first. Don't think about anything else, right? If the first thing that I said, you got to address your heart, and you're like, hey, you know what? I really gotta have that conversation with my wife. Start with that. I really gotta have that conversation with my kid. Apologize for that. Start with that. Don't think about food. Don't think about the email. Don't think about work. You're gonna be a better employee. Don't think about that. Just start with the first thing that came to your mind right there. And I think that's really gonna help you. And then when I check that off the box, what's the next thing that comes to your mind? Okay, I gotta address this, or I want to take care of myself physically. Okay, what's the first thing? Well, I feel tired all the time. Great. What's your sleep habit? Right? Awesome. Let's get your sleep. Greatest supplement that God ever created.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like
it's our
just one thing,
right? So recharge the battery. Right?
One thing at a time. Just one. Not 5, not 4, not 3, not 2. One. Just one thing.
I love that. Yeah. And I also love the verse. Biblical verse. Guard your heart, for all else flows from it.
That's right.
Like it's something like, I always think about that with having 5 children. I'm like, hey, who's speaking into their heart? Like, I'm guarding that all the time. Like I'm like the bulldog watchdog. Like, what movie are you watching? Because I want to know what's going into their heart all the time. And like we watch that, we talk about that, we read reviews of things like, hey, where are these things? Not that we want to shelter kids from what's danger. They do need to understand what's danger, but I don't want someone speaking into their heart. And I'm very careful about who's around Mike, who's coaching our kids, what are they saying? I mean, we're challenged with this because the culture of sports is not the best environment.
Yeah.
I mean, we know this. It's fast paced, and at the professional level, there's a lot of money. I call it like Temptation Island because there's just a lot of young athletes who have a lot of money suddenly, and all of a sudden that foundation is challenged very quickly, especially your discipline, right? And then your heart is often challenged because people will tell you, "Oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this," and these may be people you admire, and they're not giving you the best maybe advices for your heart. So I would say that's where I start. I love it. So going off what Josh said, like, hey, guard your heart. Stay right there. What's on your heart first? And that will, and it may be a very small thing, but it'll have massive impact for everybody. Thank you for joining us here in lovely Lynchburg, Virginia, LaHaye Ice Center on the gorgeous campus of Liberty University. My special guest, Josh Freitas, the Frito. I know, six-pack abs like a 32-year-old. There's no Fritos in this guy, by the way. It's awesome. And so we are so thankful and blessed for such a great time this weekend with FCA hockey, and a special guest for Josh being here. So thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trent. Yeah, thank you, guys.
For everybody else, until next time, winners, find a way.